speak to us. Our first speaker is a special assistant to our Attorney General, Ann Lopez, David Dale. So he's going to speak on Suing Trump.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah. So I have this written out because I have a lot to say on Profits Act about the fact that they are trying to condition grants or federal funding on changing our values. Number 3 is threats to prosecute or persecute state and local officials if they do not comply with the state directives based upon what are faulty premises, legal premises, along with threatening to impeach federal judges with which they disagree. And number 4, the fourth lever that they're using is the rhetoric basically that's being used in public to basically confuse and frighten people, just regular people, into sort of falling in line with these certain directives. So what has Attorney General Ann Lopez and our team done to fight back? The answer is quite a bit, of which litigation is actually only a small fraction. But I'm here to talk about the litigation, so I'll talk about the 11 cases which fall into 4 levels. The first is constitutional litigation. There are 2 cases that we filed that are what I'll call pure constitutional litigation. Number 1 concerns one of the first executive orders issued on January 20th, which is the so-called birthright executive order. And this was an executive order that stripped birthright citizenship as a concept in this nation. Basically said that if you were born in this nation to parents who were illegal immigrants, or then here's the paternalistic part, if you are a woman who is not a citizen of this country, but is here legally, but the father is legal, then the baby is also not a citizen. We challenged this on January 20th. We anticipated this. We immediately obtained a temporary restraining order, now have a preliminary injunction which is on appeal. So as of right now, every single district court that has considered this issue has ruled that that is a blatantly unconstitutional executive order and is in fact contradicted by the plain language of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Number 2 is the election EO. This was issued 2 weeks ago. This was an EO that purported to govern or dictate how states should conduct their local elections based on the time, place, and manner, despite the fact that these are legally and constitutionally rights that are secured to the states. We challenged this and filed a complaint, I believe on Wednesday this past week, along with other states, challenging this illegal order, and I believe that there will be forthcoming action on this soon. So these are 2 constitutional orders in place. The second concerns the dismantling of federal agencies, and we have 2 cases on that, and this is an area where the state of Hawaii is a national leader. Again, I mentioned this earlier, is that the Department of the Attorney General, along with other states, are challenging the the directives of Secretary of Education Linda McMahon to dismantle the department, the federal U.S. Department of Education. This is illegal. Only the Congress has the ability to do such a thing. And the fact is that this will cause tremendous harm to the state of Hawaii as well as other states who depend on the Department of Education not only for resources, not only for funds, but for ensuring that all students receive a full and fair education, along with ensuring that, for instance, that children with disabilities receive the support that they need. And so this is a blatantly illegal action that they are challenging it for. The fourth case, I already mentioned the librarians, but we filed this just yesterday. This concerns the dismantling of the Institute for Museum and Library Services. Again, we got fantastic support from the Hawaii State Public Library System. Hawaii State Librarian Stacey Aldrich was a vehement supporter of ours in this. We received support from the University of Hawaii, the Friends of the Judiciary History Center, and others. The fact is that the IMLS provides substantial services to the libraries to connect our islands together, in addition to providing funds that the library relies upon, and to name Hawaiian private libraries throughout the state, and we are challenging this illegal action by the Trump administration. Number 4, or the third bucket that I'm going to speak about, concerns funding streams, and this is a major issue that concerns the state.
The first case is probably the most significant case that exists among the states today that's challenged the Trump administration. It's called the OMB litigation, or Office of Management and Budget Litigation. This concerns a directive that was issued by the Office of Management and Budget on approximately January 26th that cut off all funding streams that flowed out of the federal government to state, local, nonprofit entities, just across the board. And that's why the next day we woke up and what we found out was that the state was in an emergency. The emergency was that funds such as Medicaid, SNAP, things that you wouldn't think would normally be challenged were completely shut off. And the fact is that we challenged this order. We received a preliminary injunction to stop this, and we have unfrozen 9 figures worth of dollars in federal funds challenged by the big board. I know that this is one area where we have seen a disregard for court orders manifest itself to the greatest extent is in the OMB litigation. The fact is that the federal government was very, very slow to adhere to the orders, and in fact tried in many cases to avoid it. 2 motions to enforce against the United States Department of Justice were granted by a United States District Court judge, basically saying that the federal government was not in compliance with its order. Just yesterday, we have had this issue regarding FEMA funds that were basically completely frozen to the state of Hawaii, including funds that would support the disaster case management program administered by the Department of Human Services that provides services to the victims of the Lahaina wildfires. Despite the fact that that was the issue at hand, they refused to do it to the point where the program was nearly on the verge of collapse. And yesterday, the district court granted the order to enforce, and we expect FEMA to comply. Just this week, the Department of Health and Human Services, I believe it was Monday, I'm losing track of time, but they basically said, we're going to cancel all so-called COVID grants that are issued to the states because they say that the COVID emergency is over. The fact is that those grants were not tied to the fact that, whether or not COVID was or was not as big of a problem as it was in 2020. These grants are going to be used for things like labs and other services to prevent the next pandemic. And we're talking about serious money here. We obtained a temporary restraining order just this week against this action. There have been 2 lawsuits against the National Institutes of Health. One was filed about a month ago, and this is the first case in which we received a permanent injunction against the National Institutes of Health. They set a cap on what are called indirect costs. These are costs that are associated with administrative upkeep for all kinds of these grants that go to research, and it was particularly impactful to the University of Hawaii, to approximately $18 million, or I think it was actually greater than that would have costed with this arbitrary cap that was set. Normally, these indirect costs are set around 50 to 60%. This was ruled by a United States District Court judge to be illegal, and we received a permanent injunction against this action to make sure that the University of Hawaii can continue its lawful research under these congressionally appropriated and allocated grants. And just yesterday, what we call NIH2, there was a lawsuit against the National Institutes of Health relating to the cancellation or termination of grants on the basis that these grants promoted DEI or transgender issues or things like that. And these things are also illegal, and we filed the complaint against them on Friday, and we expect to receive relief about these as well. The final bucket of cases concerns the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. We have 3 cases about that. The first one is, we call it the probationary employee case. The probationary employee case was basically a mass layoff of so-called probationary federal employees across basically every single government department outside of the U.S. military installation. We received just this week a preliminary injunction mandating that those people be placed back to work because that was an illegal rift. And we've been working closely with labor. This seems small now because we know what DOGE is, but we call it DOGE 1. This was filed within the first weeks of the administration. At that time, Elon Musk and DOGE were attempting to go into the United States Treasury to get your personal identifying information. We obtained a preliminary injunction to ensure that that wouldn't happen. I'll note that, obviously since then, DOJ has done much more. And so these are things that address the symptoms and not the cause, and that's why what we call DOJ 2. It's a lawsuit that was filed in the District of Columbia that seeks to ensure, or seeks to have a declaration that all of Elon Musk's actions concerning the federal government be declared illegal and void. On the basis, the legal basis of that is that basically he's acting as this, this person with unparalleled power and access, and he's not either an elected member of anything or appointed and confirmed by the Senate as should be, so his basic actions are unlawful. That case is currently pending. So those are the 11 cases. I just want to note that it's an honor to fight for the people of Hawaii. It's an honor to fight for truth, the rule of law, and civil rights, and for everybody's civil rights. I really just, again, want to thank all of our supporters who support the actions that we're doing. It's a lot of long nights, it's a lot of weekends. We're sacrificing a lot for this. And I'd like to acknowledge one individual in particular. His name is Michael Cron. He's our new compliance officer. He's sitting right there. He moved from, he's our compliance officer. He moved here from the state of Oregon just last week. He's a veteran of the first Trump administration, fighting alongside Oregon Attorney General Ellen Rosenberg. And so he has battle scars from Trump 1, and he moved to Hawaii just to fight these causes. So I just wanted to appreciate it. Thank you very much.